Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hi. Yeah, maybe a little closer. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite all of our panel guests to the stage, take a place. The list of panelists you see here on the screen. So, try to find yourself somehow. But do we really want to? I think we'll try to do it without microphone. It's complicated. Really? Thank you. Okay, are we ready? Yes, we are. Today's expert panel starts a series of 4 debates about promotion of culture and organization of festivals, cultural festivals here in the Ukraine. My name is Tomasz Sikora. I'm a journalist of Polish Radio and as well as head editor of Polish language website Niemcy Online. So it's a little bit complicated. It's a website about German, but in Polish language, about German culture, but for Polish audience. I also work as a host, organizer, and creator of local festivals. I'm a PR consultant for University of Wrocław. Today I will have this. I will moderate this first discussion, how to be noticed at foreign festivals. So this is not all of them are, but most of our participants are here. So maybe please introduce yourself, say what are you doing for a living, and a little bit about you, about your work. So maybe we'll start with you.
My name is Christian Paulin. I'm from Gothenburg, Sweden. I run a club. I don't have my own venue, but I have a club called Colony, and been doing it for 10 years now. I managed to survive, to live on out of that, and we do sometimes touring, and but mostly based in Gothenburg. Yeah.
Hi, my name is George. I'm from Denmark, based in Copenhagen, in Elsinore, just outside of Copenhagen. And I manage a festival called Click, which is a festival for new media and contemporary culture. Apart from this, I actually do 2 other festivals as well. One for international folk music and one for bass music. So that's it.
Yeah, hello, my name is Carsten, and I'm from Berlin, and I'm working in the cultural field since more than 20 years now. So I'm organized several festivals and venues, but I'm working more or less free right now as a free curator, and develop projects more or less content-based all over Europe, mainly.
Hello, my name is Christoph Späti. I'm Deputy Head of Mission of the Embassy of Switzerland here in Ukraine. I actually just came to Ukraine months ago, and I'm among other responsible for culture as well at the Embassy of Switzerland. So I more kind of represent the government side, the kind of the funding side, let's say. And but maybe it's still interesting that I'm here because my wife is a Georgian pianist, and so actually I get kind of very close contact to the also difficulties which artists are facing in basically be successful in festivals and make their career. So maybe I will lose a few words also on that during this panel.
Hello, I'm Yaroslav Kaczmarski. I'm from Ternopil, from the western Ukraine. I organize parties, exhibitions and festivals, and for the last 3 years I'm making a festival which called Hamsalit, which is in English like a smashing. So it's an electronic music festival, and I hope to do it in the next year and the year after that.
Hi, I'm Mariana Golovchenko. I'm Ukrainian. I'm from Kiev, but I'm based in the Netherlands for already 3 years. That's my 4th year there. I studied music in Ukraine, and I went there to study some more of business side of the. So I studied cultural entrepreneurship in Erasmus University in Rotterdam, and currently I work as a freelance project manager. Some time ago, we launched a foundation called Music and Beyond in the Netherlands, and the project we're preparing right now for the coming April in 2015 is called Global Week for Syria. That will take place in, it's a festival in Beirut and several cities, 4 cities in the Netherlands, also in Paris, and well, it's global, and also online things. So yeah, that's the thing that we're doing right now, but we're also planning to do something in Ukraine, and that's why I'm here.
Hello, I'm Slavo from Slovakia. What I mainly do is, well, we have a cultural center, independent cultural center called A4, which is all different kinds of art and music and theater and cinema and also so on. But I also run a experimental music festival, which is called Next, and we've been running it since 2000. So it's the 15th edition right now. And also I'm involved in programming of an organization of a festival for new media, art and culture called Multiplace, which is a decentralized festival that takes place in different cities and different countries, mostly in Central Europe. And also I teach at the Fine Art Academy in Brno in Czech Republic, but that's a different kind of work. I work with new media art students. Yes.
And I'm András from Budapest, Hungary. With friends we have been doing a festival since 2000. Behind the festival we have a foundation since 2000, and it's all based on voluntary work, so it's not an institution. We have all daily work next to it.
So, András was the last, so you will be the first. I have a question to you at the beginning, because your festival, you have been the organizer of this next festival is for more than 10 years, isn't it? Yeah. So, and it's one of the biggest festival in Hungary and one of the most important. Let's imagine that Yaroslav, who is a musician also, would like to play at your festival. What he should to do? What will be your advice for him, for a young Ukrainian musician?
Let's be precise and define what big means here. Probably our festival is maybe the longest running festival. If we consider experimental festival at all, it can be big. I mean, it can be big. It's always a small thing. So historically, it's big, maybe.
Big in this alternative
big
way.
In an alternative way, and maybe in effect locally, it can be big. It's important if you want to attract a foreign festival, that you should have a video. The first thing is that if you don't have the chance to see you on stage, then we have to see you on video. What are you doing on stage? It's not enough to have a sound file. It's not enough to have a description or a rider. We need to have a promising video which really gives the picture what you are doing on stage, and that video should have an atmosphere. If it's not well shooted, then it won't work. So you should put effort in it. That's the rule one, and I don't think there are any other rules, because that's the most important thing, that you should create an ambient and the mood in which you can convince the curators or the organizers that you are doing something big. And I don't mean you need to have big hits on YouTube. I mean that 1,000 people check your video. If it's artistically it's good, then I think it convinces people.
Okay, but how can I find you? Well, actually, we are sitting here, so it's not very complicated, but how can one find guys like you? How to get in touch with you, this kind of guys? So manager of the very good, very well-known in alternative world festivals.
Well, I don't know how you check on internet things, but it's very easy in our case, because we are part of a network which is ICAS and ECAS, which is International Cities of Advanced Sound and European Cities of Advanced Sound, and we are on YouTube, and many of my friends are here from this network. If you just simply go to their website, and then you can see links to dozens of festivals, like-minded festivals all over in Europe. And then you have the link to the festival, and then you can have access to our info email, and then you send an email, that's it.
Christian, you're also a manager and promoter. What is your advice? How to be effective? How can one motivate you to listen to his demo?
Well, for me, I don't have a festival. First, I run a club and I'm totally independent. So quite much of my work is rather like personal contacts with people. I mean, I get emails of people I don't know.
I imagine that you would like somebody from Ukraine. What's now?
Like you mean if I want to, yeah, I want to book something.
A band from Ukraine.
Well, I will ask my friends to advise. Like, I have some people who've been to Ukraine, and ask them how is the scene and who to contact, and then I use Google, I guess. So yeah, it's basically my personal taste that
but the
like
first
helps.
thing is the contact with friends. So,
I mean, sometimes we just you bump into something. Well, you see something randomly if you heard about it, but quite often it's a friend or I have like a loose network. I have with people around the world, and if someone recommends something, I check it out. So I think that's main.
a question to all of managers that are sitting here on the stage. What should a successful application or inquiry look like? We heard something about a film, because you need to see the atmosphere, to feel the atmosphere. What's more? Who would like to answer this question?
Well, I think it's true with the video, but I think also that I think it is difficult for an artist to just go contact a festival sort of like in a straight line. I mean, we work with 6 different curators doing the music, and just like Christian, they use their network to ask around and dig up stuff they find interesting, and so that's that's normally how it goes. So I would say for an artist, it's really important with well, first off that whatever you apply with is simple and effective, but also that you have that you work with a network, and when talking artists from Ukraine, I think with a lot of the festivals, I would imagine just like us, that it's rarely based on where the artist is from. It's more about what they work with and what they present. But of course, in another direction is of course that if you work with a theme, a funded theme, in that way it changes the whole perspective. And I think for new acts that's a good way to sort of like get access if they have sort of like backing from different cultural institutions that put an effort in to pushing a certain environment.
And I think it's very important to not to exaggerate your importance. Sometimes bands or acts think that they alone can change a perspective or perception of a given country. I don't think one single act can make a big difference, so I really encourage everyone to cooperate with others and do maybe shows together, like a tour, 2-3 bands together, and then offer a package to a festival. A nice package which is colorful, which is not from one genre but from different genres, with a good attitude, with cutting-edge music, and then you can say, okay, this kind of gives a picture about the local scenes. So then if you have this, then you get the gist of it,
yeah.
Right?
Maybe can I say?
Yeah, of course.
I was thinking about this because there is a different level of expertise and of knowledge and of infrastructures in different countries, and we are kind of in the middle because probably people from Ukraine would like to come to the festivals in Central Europe, but also we feel that we would like to export some music because we know the scenes in Slovakia, for instance, in Hungary. So we do have some collaborations, but for instance, we decided to make a website which is a database of experimental music acts from Slovakia. So there's a website called kra.sk, and there are profiles of these musicians, and it's independent. It's not the state institution.
In English language?
Yes, it's just in English, and this is a first step. Maybe even for me, it's very interesting to have like 100 acts, and it's very visible that this is a huge scene, and you can check the profiles of the musicians. They have videos and stuff and links to their websites. But I think it's difficult because compared to the Western countries, it's really this lack of marketing or PR skills and infrastructures, no distribution networks for music. For instance, in the Eastern Europe, often it's the case that the music doesn't really get promotion in newspapers because it's not mainstream. So you have to search for alternative networks, and often it's based on personal contacts, of course, working internationally. But I think for me, if I would like to know about the Ukrainian scene, for instance, it's always great to have a node, like a festival or a database or something that you can stick to. Because I know some musicians, I know the Next Sound Festival, I know some people, but sometimes it's difficult to find information and to have some entry point to the scene.
Mm-hmm. Yaroslav, you are a manager and also a band member, and Mariana, you are also an independent musician, can we say so? And have you ever applied for an appearance at festival abroad? And if yes, what was the most difficult? So I would like to hear your answer on this, everything what we've heard already.
May I start?
Yeah, of course.
Well, actually, yes, I'm a member of Kyiv band, was also my bandmates are also here at Cloud Jam, and yeah, Rustam is finally he got this this role of a manager of the band, because that was the first advice from me, being based in the Netherlands, that I realized how weak is our marketing part. Just I tried to work with some musicians from Ukraine, and I realized that there is no material that I can actually present to people, and I mean, I would be glad, I'm very, enthusiastic about it, I would be really glad to help them out, but I cannot write I cannot write an EPK for them. I mean, I have other things to do as well. I'm ready to represent them, so yeah, that's from the point of representing musicians, but from the point of applying to the festivals is also, well, we made, I think, kind of a good EPK. I'm proud of Rustam as well, finally. But yeah, I also think it's very important to have a reference when you write an email. I mean, you send your information about the band. So when you have a reference, how did you get to know, or why are you contacting this particular person? Because mostly, well, at least in my experience, when you send an email to info@something, it's usually just goes to, even though that's kind of the idea of the department, right, to look into the applications, but again, it's all the matter of time. So many festival makers, big festivals, they don't even look into that. So yeah, I would start with the subject. I mean, the subject is it's important how you name your email. Either it goes, right on the first step, it filters to the junk mail, or it comes to your inbox. Then yeah, the reference, then well, I think many things were already mentioned before. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's what I have to say.
Jaroslav, have you ever tried to be on foreign festival?
It's a long story,
Yeah.
I never
make it short.
I never think that my music is good enough to apply it somewhere. I don't spend enough time for my own music. Most of the time I work on the 3 jobs for making parties and concerts and all of that. But as a festival organizer, I have a lot of demos from Ukrainian artists, from different kind of them. I listen to all of them, and the thing that I mentioned, that is there is a good text from himself. Is artist, did he wrote a few sentences about his own music and how he feels that. As for me, it's important.
And what about, a question to all of you, what about a barter agreement? Is it a good solution? I mean, bands promoted by Christian would play at festivals in Ukraine, and Ukrainian bands in Sweden. Is it even possible? A kind of yeah, barter agreement. So first you go to Ukraine with your bands, and then the opposite way.
I mean, I think that's a possible way for sure. But as I told you before, it's like for me, it has to be something that I'm interested in. I really like the music. I will not book something from just because it's from Ukraine. But that's like maybe different if it's an institute that have the money for doing special things. That's yeah, but I don't have any fundings at all, so it has to be. I do it more for pleasure. But I mean, I've done this, something like that for with friends with our neighbors, like Denmark and Norway. We've been exchanging events, like we have a package of bands and exchange. But I never applied for money. More of yeah. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, our festival is based in a cultural institution. So a concept like that could definitely work, no doubt about it. But again, it's about you mentioned the entry point, and I think that's important again. Then who's reaching out, and what kind of collaboration is it? Yeah, and I think again for artists, I think if it's just a single artist who's trying to reach out, to have some, I don't know if endorsement is the right word, but to have someone endorsing the artist, going like, you should check that out, because I mean for us that works really well. Then something happens extremely fast, that someone will point at something, and then it doesn't matter if it's a big name or not. It doesn't play any role. It's about do you trust the person who will endorse the concept? But that was a sidestep. I still think that it's very possible to work with an exchange program, if you could call it that.
Yeah, also it's probably important to say it's a question of your perspective, so like and your scale actually as a festival, and what you focus on. So, and of course if you're on a certain size, then you have to work with exchange of programs, but that can have also like the danger that festivals streamline in a way, so that you see the same acts here and there all the time, and that the festival looks big like the average shopping mall in each city, so like with the Adidas and the Foot Locker and the H&M and McDonald's. So, but like to add a slightly different angle, when we do projects, we mainly work topic-based and content-based. So it's not annual things we develop, or even if it was annual things, it was always with a focused and strong topic, and we put out calls. And then it's really important how to reflect on that call, and that the artist comes up with an interesting proposal matching that call. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a video. It's of course, I agree with Andras, it's interesting, but it's also like, if you take it serious, like to work with a jury and proposals, you can also with a good text challenge the people in a jury or in a festival to come up with an interesting idea or solution. And then it's really, like for me at least personally, based on personal contact, so really to meet people and to travel. If I work kind of with a certain local focus, I necessarily have to go there and meet the people. And of course you can't see all the things and be aware of all the things. You have to find people who have the knowledge of the certain place and find the node in the network. To give you a good picture, I don't know, some of you might know Phil Niblock, the big, one of the grandfathers of sound art, and he's still traveling you see him everywhere. He's based in New York and in Ghent, but you see him everywhere at all the festivals, like grey beard, big person, and he always wears a kind of a shirt with two big pockets on the breast. And I got to know him like in the end of the 90s, and there was, of course, we were operating with email already by that time, but his system was different. So his big pockets were always filled, heavily filled, and with a block of telephone numbers. And it was kind of cards, and he had ordered them in a system with different colored rubber bands. So he had the system. And it was really like, if you start talking to him, he said, "Oh, do you know this person?" He was putting out his block with the phone numbers and saying, "You have to contact this person. If you go there, you contact this person." So and these kind of network nodes and personal contacts of people you trust are extremely important to develop strong connections and build up kind of programs. And it's really, I'm personally not so much interested in big things, because also like I work on a small scale and I can't simply afford like big names. But I learned over the years that it's really important to build up like these substructures and build up things. And for me, it's always more successful if I can produce things, and we support a lot of production and new projects, which later on live on their own and go to bigger festivals and of course make their money and things. But this is kind of our perspective. But it's really, there's no certain advice you can give. And in our case, it's more we will find you then rather you. Of course, we get applications and blind send in emails, but it's more we searching for things, and we want to show, and it's simply purely subjective taste and contact.
Yeah, something. Yeah, definitely I like texts, because just like you said, it's not only videos but the text, because many cases we feel that people would like to just put sounds. There is no real idea behind the music. So if you have a text, that it really gives away whether you have a serious agenda behind it or you just put together something. So that's why it's important, because if you have a text, then we feel that you do really want to say something, even if you are not working with words, but you deal with sound and you more like giving feelings. But if you have a text, then immediately you can refer what kind of ambient you would like to create. So give short messages to the organizers, whether you need a darkened room, a seated room, a small room without a bar, where glasses are clinking and destroying your show. So be conscious, and in the text you can really make the people who is reading understand what you really want to do, because it makes no sense to do a show which is ruining your artistic concept. So it makes no sense to fly 2 hours to another city and do a crap show, because the environment is really not for your music. So it's important.
So, very short question. In which language should it be, this text? Because if we will have a very interesting text in Ukrainian language, then what?
Too obvious question.
I don't know.
That's the point, because it's very obvious, but that's what I'm facing all the time. And I'm like, even, I got a link, great band, amazing, and then I got a link to a Ukrainian website. Guys, I need something. I don't have time to translate.
Mm-hmm.
That's very obvious, but for some reason I don't know who is in the hall, but yeah, I mean that's one of the first things that you should do if you are aiming at international festivals.
So let's say for a little bit longer, close to the language of the text. Slavo, you present music on the radio. What are the chances that Ukrainian CD lands on your desk? And is it so that it must be in English, or you need also the Ukrainian language?
Well, of course, I don't understand Ukrainian, but I did broadcast.
I don't understand either, but we play in my radio. We play Ukrainian music because we have a Ukrainian minority in our region. So, and for our Polish listeners, it's also a little bit interesting. Hey, it sounds a little bit similar to our language, so maybe it's something. I don't know, but well, it works somehow.
Well, I did the radio broadcast, but I'm not doing it right now. But still, I think it's kind of there are two things. One thing is the quality of the music, and the other one is the promotion side. And of course, as I said, the bands that don't have this know-how or an agent, or they don't have some support from the like you have in Poland, the Adam Mickiewicz Institute that can support Polish artists traveling abroad. We don't have that, partly, maybe. So that's an important point, because I think there are a lot of interesting projects in the eastern part of Europe, of course, but they are not recognized even in the big festivals. And I realized that we also, in Slovakia, we invite bands which at least somebody say they are a bit like known. You have these like at least some idea who the band is and so on. But and of course we are aware of this other area of great music that is not really promoted very well. So then you have to really search for interesting projects, and I found many interesting projects in the and it's all based on of course what I've said, good entry points and personal contacts and curators who know their scenes and so on. But we are not a big festival, but still there are these two things, and you also have to balance the programming a bit, because then it's another question of the audience. I mean, who is interested in an unknown band from Serbia or from a country that you don't get the music to your your radios and your newspapers and so on. So it's also maybe a question of infrastructural support. How can the bands in some countries maybe work together and promote their music, but that's another thing.
But I think it's the most. I still think that's the most essential thing of it all, is to create a strong scene here in Kiev, something that you'll turn towards. I think that's the scene from sort of like a long-term perspective. That's what I think artists from Ukraine should work with, creating strong scenes, something that will make curators and promoters look into that direction. Also, because a strong scene just generates, inspiration, more artists, a good environment. I think it's definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to be precise, speaking for myself here. When you say scene, I suppose you mean that it's not a given genre you are talking about, but collaboration of people who are representing different sound strategies, and they are collaborating with each other. That's a scene where people are open to other new perspectives, and they are fertilizing each other in a way. So that's a scene, and then that's more interesting. We are not a metal festival, we are not a jazz festival, we are a cross-genre festival, and that's important that you open a stage to anyone and be affected and affect others, then that's very healthy.
I think after a while you get a reputation for being kind of between the chairs and not focus on a certain audience only. And this is what it always takes a long breath to develop something which kind of establishes that. But for instance, I wonder a bit why, for instance, Andrei Kirichenko is not sitting on that panel, because he could tell you a lot about, from his perspective, doing a festival here since quite some years. But
we'll have that.
Yeah, okay. But I think it's really this. And in his case, it started also like with a personal contact. So when we started to work together, it was by that time Franz Pomassel from Vienna, who had a wife from St. Petersburg, and kind of opened out of personal interest and curiosity as an artist and as a label maker, like the East, and he was simply traveling, having fun and playing the venues, and he made this informal network, and through that, like, a lot of things happened. So, and it's really these activities. And it doesn't have to start big. Like, I still remember the first Next Sound Festival here, how small that was, and in which weird context. But it's really kind of getting people into something. You sometimes have to use some tricks, and maybe use some techno event, how it was by that time, to get an audience involved, which normally would not go to something experimental, or whatever, not genre specific. But it's these kind of mechanics, and they work different everywhere. So it's not, you can't have the recipe for that. So it's so defined by cultural conditions and political situations and all these kinds of things. So.
Carsten, I have a other question to you, not to you as a manager, but to you as an artist, because well, you have succeeded as at today's topic, because you have been noticed in foreign festivals. How is it? How do you make it happen that you take a part in events in Chile, Toronto, and Budapest in the same year? So actually, if we ask how to be noticed at foreign festivals, you are the answer. You are actually like in your language, it would be Wunderkind, so the wonder child. How is it possible? How you make it that you are actually all over the world, or your works?
If I have to be really honest, then because I always did what I wanted to do. So like when we did the festival, which I started in the mid of '90s, it was so small and so far away from Berlin, so really on the coast of Baltic Sea, former East Germany. So it was so small, there was no audience at all. So we could do whatever we want to do, knowing that there's never a big audience. So and that we would have the full risk, starting without money. That will be topic of next panel, I think. But really, we always did what we wanted to do. So, and that developed over 10 years, kind of a reputation in the network. And to make a long story short, I'm still doing all the things I'm doing now based on that network. And there was something built up brick by brick, like without money in the beginning and over a long course running and developing this network.
But in a practical way, can you describe steps of one of your projects? So from the beginning to the end of project. For example, how do you know that something can be interested in Chile?
Yeah, in that case it was the other way around. I got an invitation by a festival, the Valparaiso Tsunami Festival, which works a lot with city space and social issues and art and public space and things like that. And they came across a project we are doing since 2008 called Tune City, and that's basically a format between conference and festival, exploring acoustics and sonic things in public space or in cityscape, like relation between sound and architecture and so on. And we did that in 2008 in Berlin for the first time, and by that time it was kind of a topic hot and new, and it became quite a reference point in that world, like sound studies and so on. And but it's not a festival. We do it only like on invitation in different city contexts. And then we're not just bringing it as a festival export, it's more finding local partners there, co-producers, co-curators, and developing it over at least 2 years, run with residencies and workshops and so on, to really create it out of the place. So, and it's kind of a really embedded way of working in different situations. And Chile was simply, they came across that and said, like, well, that's interesting for us, it's similar approaches in working. What we can offer, we have good contact to Goethe Institute, we can offer a flight and a flat. Spend as much time as you want here with us to get to know the city, and maybe we can work out something together for the future. And it's this kind of, I always try to meet the people, it's necessary to meet the people in person first and get the feeling if that could work. So, and it's simply this chains of things. So, and it's often that also like projects stop, and often I invest also, like I go somewhere out of my own pocket because it's necessary to get a feeling. And if that works out, then it's nice. If not, so it's not this that I only do things which are 100% proof. So and can be calculated from the beginning. So it's really at a certain point. I'm 42 now. So at a certain point, I realized that it. Like you live from project to project and from application to application. So, and if you're not having fun in that process and accept that is actually your life, that you move constantly and do things, then you're getting unhappy. So it's like if you're waiting only all the time for the big thing. So personally, very simple. At a certain point, I said like, well, this is the way I want to work and to be flexible and to do things, and that's how. So there's no magic to that. So it's
okay. How to be noticed at foreign festivals? Let's try to reverse this question. So, what are the worst mistakes that one can do? How to mess up my chances, guys? What has to happen that you will throw my application in the bin?
Well, I'm not going to answer just that question, but I think one thing that an artist could benefit from being aware of is that there is like there's a lot of mails being sent, I guess, to festivals, and you mentioned the different structures of the festivals before. Mm-hmm. Some festivals have open calls. some don't, and I think that it's just the fact that you're as a festival booker, you're overrun with mails. You just need to be aware that that might cause.
How many mails do you get?
Many. I don't know if
10 per day, 20,
yeah, well, maybe
100?
In certain periods it's might be 10, it might be 20 a week, and it's and we would even like to answer them, but we just can't. We don't have the resources for it. So I think, I mean, of course you can make mistakes. Writing, being an idiot in a mail, or I don't know, but I think I think it's more being aware of that sort of like pressure with the constant stream coming in all the time.
About mistakes, don't fool yourself that you are facing to professionals in the corporate sense. These festivals, I mean the friends like-minded festivals, these are grassroots organizations with an attitude, without big professionals. So don't try to create a notion about yourself that you are so important and you are big, so that you have a manager to do your things. So do it yourself at our side as well. So and we respect if you are a small band or a small scene from a given country, then you are a grassroots as well, and you are do it yourself as well. So be personal and be honest, because it gives away that you think that you are stepping out from your local context, and your desire is that in the international arena immediately you are big if you got an offer from a festival. So be small and please be honest to organizers.
Be frank, not be PR.
Yeah.
Please.
No, I just had a very interesting experience I just came back from WOMEX, from the World Music Expo, and there was one showcase, that you would look on the stage and you clearly see that this person, I mean, so many people worked on that person, like, the whole concept, the way she looks, the way the band looks, the way she moves, the way she dresses, everything. And then I was surprised to see, actually, because, like, in your opinion, I mean, also in my view, like, the first thing I'm looking for when I look at the stage is that the person has to be genuine. I mean, that the art has to be genuine, and original. But I was surprised. I was sitting right next to I was sitting next to a festival maker from Russia, and very nice guy. I mean, he has a taste. I thought he also works with Hun Hurtu, and then he said, "Oh, that's one of the best I've ever seen. Like, it's been a while I didn't see such an amazing artist," and so on. So I mean, it might be that it's also different from market to market, from festival to festival. So there are certain festivals that are looking for. I mean, I wouldn't just generalize it, like that's the way it should be. Because I know some festivals, they prefer to work only with bookers. For example, in Ukraine, when I talk about booking agencies, they say like, what's a booking agency? Why would I pay them? And the others are saying like, of course I work with a booking agency because it simplifies so much of my, I don't have to do any work anymore. I mean, they do it all themselves. So, well, I don't think there is one answer to that.
That was a very interesting point about the booking agencies, actually, because now many festivals work with the rosters of artists that the agencies offer, and there's a danger that of course the programming becomes very similar when you have a look around, and there are like names being repeated on all these festival programs. And the question is, of course, which we probably won't have time to discuss, how to get to the to the right booking agency, if they are interested at all.
If you have a short answer, then please.
I don't know. I have no experience with this, because I think that there is I don't know any maybe like bigger booking agency with experimental music artists from the eastern part of Europe, or I don't know. It always works that we get offers for German and Dutch and British and American bands, and it works just one way, but I hope this will change in the future.
Christoph, you are you are from Switzerland, so not from the European Union and not from the Ukraine. So maybe we'll use it. From your perspective, what kind of art does Europe expect from Ukraine?
Yeah, that's a question I was not prepared to. I mean, I think a lot have been said about the quality and the artistic, the genuineness of art products, basically, and I think this is valid for all art, basically. It doesn't matter whether it's Ukrainian art or Swiss art or German art. I think the genuineness and the artistic value and quality of the performance is basically decisive. Now, there's another thing about, and there I come basically from my background, from, let's say, government funding, or we haven't spoken about funding here, right?
We would like to.
Yeah, exactly. We spoke about artistic criteria, right? When are you being, or do you have a chance to be accepted in a festival? Now, for example, if you want to have some funding, I mean, everything costs, right? Traveling to these festivals, they might accept you, but they have limited funds themselves. So basically, when you apply for funds, and for example, this festival, Art Meetings Festival, has been co-financed as well by Switzerland, by Pro Helvetia, which is a foundation, basically. So what is the criteria? All the foundations or government institutions, they will fund you not only for your artistic value, but they will fund you because you fulfill their criteria of basically their scope, what kind of art products they are funding, right? So it's always good to not just send, and I absolutely agree, the application has to be very good, right? In our case, it's usually project proposals, and what is important is that first you go on internet and you look exactly what is this foundation, what are the criteria for the funding, right? So you can save a lot of time and effort when you see that basically, okay, they, for example, they don't fund other art than Swiss art or exchange between artists, like. So you can save a lot of time and energy in that. And then I fully agree that the proposal has to be very good. And I also agree with what has been said before. If you have a CD, for example, it should be very well recorded. It should be really top-notch, kind of, right? And maybe just to encourage you, everything it needs a lot of patience, and you, Carsten, you have said it, I think, very, very well. You have to love what you do, you have to believe in it, and you basically should continue despite the fact that you are not discovered, kind of, right? And it takes brick by brick. I just would like to give you the example of my wife. She started to play piano at the age of 5. And in Georgia, basically, it's a country that is similar to the country to Ukraine, and similar in your that you are in, the situation that you are in. And basically, it needs talent, and it needs a lot of work and effort. And just to tell you this example, she was financed then by a Swiss foundation, Michel Sonny Foundation. It's a guy who was basically looking in Europe, who was traveling all over Eastern Europe to look for young, talented kids, right? And he discovered her and took her into his foundation. And what did it mean? It meant that she could play 2 or 3 concerts in Switzerland at the age of 10 and 12. Right, so at this early stage, and she participated in a lot of competitions in Russia, in Ukraine as well, and basically only by the activity, by her own activity, basically she got known and known and known. But the financial side, this is a completely different thing.
So maybe let's stay a little bit longer to this topic, money, because well, we have a saying in Poland: if you don't know what is something about, it's about money, and it is so because money is starting point and breaking point of so many projects. Christian, you promote less known bands. Where does the money come from?
Well, I don't. Basically, it come up from. I have no founding, so I got. It has to be a door and a bar, basically. But it's. I also sometimes help band. If there's a band I want to have, I help them to get more shows in Sweden or in Scandinavia, for example. So then I know who have the money, who haven't, and who could be interested in this band. So I that's one of the trick I do. I try to fill in more shows for a band. But then yeah.
That's it, I think.
So maybe Mariana, what is your advice for young bands from Ukraine who are hungry but hungry for success but poor, maybe this way? What is your advice for young Ukrainian group who would like to be somewhere?
Well, I would like to get back also to the funding side. Because, well, being in the Netherlands, actually that was a discovery for me, because it's kind of maybe it's not such a hidden information, but not so many people use it. But like travel grants, or you can apply for that. It's not that you have to, because sometimes I saw that some festivals, the first thing they would ask, like, okay, is it somehow supported? I worked with a Brazilian booking agency, for example. That was my way into the network, in a way, after I graduated. And Brazil is so far away. And the first thing they would, of course, we present the artist. We say what he does. We present the CDs. But then the next question is, okay, do they have any travel funds if we want to bring them to Europe? And that the other way around. Coming from Brazil is really expensive, but even going from Ukraine to Germany, it already costs money, and there is fund for that. You just have to look for it, and it's called. Well, one thing is, like, for example, in Scandinavia, I know there are lots of things. There's a huge governmental support compared to Ukraine for the representatives of the Scandinavian music, or kind of export centers. We don't have it, unfortunately, in Ukraine. We cannot get the fees from the governmental support. We cannot cover that, but at least we can already cooperate with the festival in a way that we have the travel grant. So my advice would be, look for that. Look for information. You just have to monitor it all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes it's like this, that also, maybe not grassroots festivals, but also bigger festivals, they basically choose you or select you on the basis of the artistic value of your performance, and they themselves are looking for the support to bring you at this festival. Right? I just bring the example of Molodist Film Festival now, which we were also co-financing. The artistic choice basically was upon Mr. Khalpachi and his team from Molodist, but they asked us for basically funding of tickets of Swiss artists coming, Swiss filmmakers and producers and actors to participate in this film festival. And so the embassy was funding basically their tickets and their stays in hotels here. So this is also a possibility to basically, I don't know how it is in Ukraine, but basically to address also the festival itself, or your embassy abroad where you want to go. Because basically it is the task of the embassies to promote culture abroad, and it means also Ukrainian culture abroad.
Yeah, again, it's a bit tricky thing. So, and like Switzerland are very good examples for an excellent cultural funding, or Scandinavia. So, but it has a downside as well, because sometimes festival makers choose certain programs based on the decision, or the decision is based on if the country brings funding or not. So, like for a long time, you could see, for instance, a lot of Dutch artists all around at all the festivals, because the Dutch system was really kind of cultural value as an export object. So, and you could really see that wave when the funding was going down, like with the big cuts a couple of years ago, like this wave was going down. So it was really, you have that kind of on a political level very clearly. So, and it's also like sometimes, of course, if you have good funding from Switzerland, for instance, that in a way not directly but indirectly covers costs of countries which maybe don't have any support. So if a festival, for instance, has kind of like, let's say 60% covered of the costs, then they can afford, like out of the door and entrance and so on, things which have no funding. So, and this is really important to keep that in mind, that it's really like funding also defines kind of certain cultural monopoles, so in a way. So, and this is really the other way around, for instance, and that would be my advice, because I witnessed that in the past years, that the Goethe Institute, for instance, before they were operating for long years, just exporting German culture to different countries and making travel packages. They changed their policy more and more to really support local structures as well. So sometimes not even like German artists have to be involved. It's kind of necessary in a way, but they really look for starting things which run on their own then in the certain countries. And there are several cultural institutions which try to really work with local scenes and build up something. And for Goethe, for instance, right now it's very important, if you come with an application as a German artist to Goethe, that there is a strong or good or an interesting local partner involved they can develop something together with. So, and this is really this kind of, as a kind of cultural worker in a funding body or in an embassy, so to have this contact. And the other way around, you actually, as artists, you are their capital. So it's you can go to the people and say, like, I have something to offer. So it's not that you're begging for money so all the time. So it's really they need you as well, because you deliver the content and you are kind of the reason why they are sitting there. So, and it's really this shift of thinking. So not begging for money, it's more like kind of cooperating on to make something happening, because they have to make culture projects, as you say, so, and support them. But it's not that you ask for money all the time as somebody on the knees. So it's so like just go there and ask for cooperation. So, and this is working very often quite well. So apart from quality.
Exactly. Maybe to add on that, I was speaking mostly about basically cultural policy abroad, kind of Switzerland, like promoting Swiss culture abroad or exchange between Swiss and Ukrainian culture. But I want to echo what Carsten said. This is just one side, basically, of cultural promotion of the countries. Another side is to, and this is more in the development cooperation sphere, to basically facilitate projects in the countries themselves, and there the main criteria is basically that it's needs driven, that it's really something that is needed in a certain micro locality, for example, and that basically there is a large participation from local society. So we have an office, Swiss Development Corporation, here in Kiev, and they also have a small cultural budget, and it is not intended to promote Swiss culture, but to promote Ukrainian culture projects.
Maybe Jaroslav, what is your advice about the funds for the young Ukrainian groups? Have you ever tried to get money from, I don't know?
Not yet. But I make in festival for 3 years, but I see that most of all important Ukrainian artists were already on my festival. So I need a new blood and new artists from elsewhere, from out of Ukraine. So I'm gonna also to work in this side. But I don't have an experience for now.
But maybe Slavo has, because you are a co-founder of the Attract Art Association promoting modern art, also an organizer and creator of many musical and multimedia events, including Next Festival. So where does the funding come from?
Well, I think it's of course based on what we've talked about the cooperations with foreign cultural institutes, with embassies, and most of the funding comes from our government, from the Ministry of Culture, but it's not really big funding. But still, it's kind of difficult with this type of, like, let's say, experimental music, because you have to get recognized even in your own environment. That's not easy, because it's a very specific topic. But then, I mean, it's really great when you have the opportunity to work with artists who can have the travel support, like I've said about Poland, and also we work very well with the Goethe Institute. But I think it would still, in our own country, there is not such a great supporting structure for export of the musicians, and I see this as a task for maybe kind of pressure on the local governments to have that, because I've realized that it's again this comparison between the eastern part of Europe, that these infrastructures are not so well developed. So, and that this is a part of the problem, that we need this support for exporting the culture. So also.
But maybe we should look money in private sector, I mean in industry. Carsten, is it possible that, I don't know, BMW or Mercedes will give some money to young Ukrainian groups to show them in Germany?
What do you think? I had this question in mind, like to the round actually. So before, what experience you made with private funding or like really sponsorship? So we tried all the time to get that, and there was never more than kind of a couple of beer crates extra and exchange for big logos everywhere. So I never have really, in our context at least, all these independent festivals seen that successfully applied, but you can see that like really in a perverted way sometimes, when really like content is taken over by corporations. So, and just to give you an example, last year the MUTEC festival in Mexico, huge big festival, and that went to the point that on the conference panel you had nicely designed shields on the table, and we were wondering what it was about, and it was sponsored by Sony, and of course one of the agreements was that no other logo, and especially not the glowing Apple logos, should be seen on stage. So every performance, every talk, everything was shielded. So these kind of things, so it's little gestures of things, but of course that goes also on a content level, and if you apply at the company for something, then of course they look like culture institutes very carefully, that it's well done and interesting, but also they look that things are not too critical or not too kind of complicated in terms of involvements and so on. I don't think like BMW sponsoring things, but it doesn't say like it's a no-go. But
maybe nobody tried.
Yeah, but no, maybe it's a different scene where that applies. So.
Maybe I can add on that. Yeah, I mean, one always sees it also in bigger cultural events that basically a whole row of sponsors is being spoken about. This was also the case in the recent film festival. One can argue about it, whether it's prostitution or symbiosis, right? But I mean, I think some bigger events simply can't, I think, survive without sponsoring. And it's of course that the case that if a company gives money, they would like to be visible in one way or another. But it's not necessarily the case. I just can tell you, for example. When we are financing something from the embassy, basically, of course, we like that sometimes that the logo is somewhere, but not necessarily. And our basically the funding which we can provide is sometimes so small that we ourselves have to go and ask to companies, to Swiss companies, to co-sponsor some cultural event. And basically they do it gladly, and they just, for example, want to be mentioned in an introductory speech by the ambassador, and that's it. It doesn't mean that your piece of art will have a BMW stamp on it then.
But this is a nice way of funding or structural support that kind of like somebody like you can talk to those people and has another impact than just if the artist or the festival asks themselves. But it's not truly true what I said before. To give you a good example, because Oliver is sitting there looking at me, there is the CTM festival since a couple of years works very successfully with a big company who supports mainly all the technical needs of the festival. And it's a big festival, and like most parts of the technical infrastructure is sponsored by a company. And they also they want to be mentioned, but for them it's also like interesting to kind of use that environment and have their stuff tested by weird artists and so on. It's kind of, it's a symbiosis and a very a collaboration on eye level, I would say, as I experienced it back by that time. So, and not so much like we give you something. So it's really this real collaboration in a way, also like based on personal contact. But that is really substantial support of a festival and so on.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I'm looking at Christoph, I can imagine Swatch watches close to the alternative music festival, because they are trying to be alternative. So maybe this is the way how to combine private sector with the ambitious artists. Is it possible?
No idea. I'm not a representative of Swatch.
I know that you're not from Swatch, but I'm asking about your experiences.
Yeah, exactly. I think. Again, I think it's very important if one, for example, you just spontaneously had this idea, right? And I think the next step, if you have this idea, is basically to go on the site of Swatch, right, and very carefully go through all the chapters and sub-chapters and so on, to basically find out whether your idea might match with their strategy, right? And if you have a 20% feeling that it might match, or 30% feeling, then I would have the courage to basically make a very, very serious project proposal to them, right? But I mean, this is just a spontaneous reaction.
Yeah, I know.
Electronic artists use their hands, so they are rotating knobs and moving faders and watches on these heads is a good idea.
See? Okay, but where to ask and seek? Is there any intermediating organizations that connecting artists, organizers of concerts, promoters? Are there any kind of intermediating organizations? Do you know something like that?
Booking agents.
Only booking agents, but it's not actually. Well, something like, I don't know, Facebook or MySpace, but only for this connection.
I just did an internship in European Music Council this summer in Bonn, and which is an umbrella association for other umbrella organizations. And yeah, I discovered that, I mean, it's a very, there are lots of well, it's not really, it's not even, the job is not, well, I mean, like, for example, an association, what is it made for, right? When you collaborate, when you put your efforts together, you are a bigger power, and that's how it works. Unfortunately, trying to establish a proper communication with Ukrainian, for example, Ukrainian Music Council, well, all our attempts, me talking Ukrainian, Russian, any language, you know, they could understand, unfortunately failed at this moment. But then we were talking more, and actually I know they're still discussing these things, that because there are lots of non-governmental organizations, yeah. Actually, yeah, we were discussing a lot about that because the post-Soviet area is quite difficult with it. I know in Poland, for example, with Polish Music Council, but it's also, they had the same kind of problem. But now the generations, they're changing. So, and I mean, still Poland is in European Union, so it's a bit different conversation. But there were also this kind of problems that it's like formally it's there, but you cannot compare, Ukrainian Music Council with the German Music Council, for example. German Music Council is like, I mean, they have their venue, and they're Germans. And finally, the European Music Council is also based in Germany. So, so I would say that there are. It's not about the intermediary. But it's more about collaborative force. And once you find the partners, and that's why I see also that networking events are so important. That's the way to find the partners. That's the way to find the like-minded people. And then there is much more possibility to find more foundations, money, and so on and so on. So forth.
I think the best intermediator is the festival itself. So if you do a festival, that's a row of showcases where other festival organizers can meet the actual acts. So I think that's very important that you consider your festival being as a showcase to other festival organizers themselves.
And even more, like. The smaller the context is, the better. So like the more informal. So I witnessed very often that the interesting things, the new projects, were always hacked out, like in the meetings afterwards, in the coffee break, or on the bar, or in the breakfast. So this is really where the things are happening. So, and I would encourage all people, like, even if it might be involving some costs, but go to other festivals and meet the people in person. So that's really. You can always send emails and things, but it's so good to meet the people and talk about things and projects. So.
But there's one more thing that comes to my mind. It's in this globalized world, especially concerning experimental music. There are some like magazines that are important on the global scale, and I don't really want to promote that, but sometimes it's important to have a feature in that kind of a magazine, which is not easy because they are also kind of interested in certain things, and then it goes also with some interest in the local scenes. Sometimes they are interested, and also the other thing is that there are promotional agencies that do stuff for small labels, and the labels themselves are very important, like nodes. Sometimes the labels are also run by people who do festivals, like in our case. So we did releases, we made releases of Slovak experimental musicians. And then it comes, this question, how to get the promotion to the international level. And yes, there are some agencies that could do that. The question is if they are interested in something that was beyond their scope until now, but maybe it will change also.
Maybe I want to mention one more kind of field is competitions. I don't know, this is maybe, I don't know whether there are classical musicians here, I don't think so, but maybe or whether this form exists in your fields as well. But I think participation in competitions can also advance your career, because there is a jury and they give prize. Of course, to be accepted in a competition, everything is valid what has been said before. Basically, you have to submit, you have to check what you have to submit, but you have to submit a CD or a probe of your work and so on. And basically, the competition provides you the unique opportunity to being known to a broader audience. And in case you are ranked there, also the attention of other sectors of society is being directed towards you, right? So basically from a prize at a festival can come a contract with the agency, for example. So of course sometimes people have to borrow money to travel to a competition. For example, you borrow money from your relatives to be able to travel to a competition. But and it's like playing a lotto in a certain sense, right? It's like a risk game. But I think prizes at competition can also advance your career and that you are known. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we do have kind of talent shows. We initiated something in Budapest in 2012, and twice a year we do an event called UH. That's the name of the festival, UH Demo. To which we invite acts which are only present on the internet so far, so that they can try themselves on stage. And also it's an open competition, anyone can apply, and then we filter and ask the best ones to be on stage. And by the way, all the 3 Hungarian artists were unearthed like that in the last years. And the prize is nothing else, but we match them with the foreign acts in Hungary, and then we try to give them the chance to show their art in neighboring countries or partner countries.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have a few minutes for questions from the audience. If you have some, please don't be shy. And if not, as you said, it's very important, this part close to the bar. So maybe we'll make it for half an hour, and about 3 p.m. will be the next discussion. Thank you, all of you, for this discussion.